We have their complete agenda. We know everything that transpired. And they're going to be shocked when they see American Free Press this week, a 4-page pull-out insert that gives tells all about their message. As usual, it's, well, one interesting thing is they are very upset about Ron Paul. Their concern over Ron Paul fascinated me.
Okay, but you specifically, this is coming from Bilderberg, from Trilateral Commission, same thing. Why are they still worried about Ron Paul?
Because they're concerned about Ron Paul's turning out thousands and thousands of young voters who are getting what they call their political education. Well, the political education Dr. Paul is giving these throngs of young people is exactly the opposite of what Bilderberg and Trilateral want.
So they're worried about the movement and what it's built rather than the candidacy.
Yes, they're sure that Ron Paul himself says that he recognizes no chance to be elected president.
Well, if Ron Paul would give us some marching orders for the tens of millions that'll do whatever he says, like let's try to repeal NAFTA now that it's up, or let's repeal gun laws, or let's shut down the border or end the war, they would go out and continue the grassroots operations. Right now, they're still spending 99% of their time on the delegate process and running around shouting Ron Paul and buying his book. And that's all fine and dandy. We sell the book, too. It's just that I think Ron Paul needs to understand he is the leader right now, and he needs to, I think, go ahead and give some orders, because an army that doesn't fight kind of falls apart.
They're concerned that these thousands of young people who follow Ron Paul are being educated on the Constitution, which they despise, the First and Tenth Amendments, which they despise, and the fact that Ron Paul would bring the United States back to a non-interventionist policy abroad. He'd bring the troops home immediately, not only from Iraq and Afghanistan, but from 130 peacekeeping missions around the world. He'd bring them home, and they would protect our border, not other people's borders. And our borders are so badly unprotected as it is.
Okay, so bottom line, they're worried about the anti-globalist movement exploding in size with Ron Paul as a focal point.
Yes, and with all these young people embracing, and traditionally young people are always considered left-wingers. In the 1960s, they all voted for McGovern, and who was directly opposed to the war, but also favored a whole lot of socialism.
That's right. So now they're not buying into fake conservatives, neocons. They're not buying into a foundation, establishment, gatekeeper liberals. They're actually waking up to the New World Order, and your sources were saying that that was one of the main topics.
It was not actually on the agenda, but a lot of people expressed concern about Ron Paul.
Did they talk about ways to counter it?
I think this raised the issue. We've got to do something about it. They want Republicans to pressure Paul to drop out now and stop his education rallies. And that assignment was given to Thomas Foley, former U.S. Speaker of the House, but he was a Democrat. But of course, all that.
How is Foley going to go after Paul? Do we know from the enemy operation?
He will call up old cronies in Congress, Republicans and Democrats, who will pressure Paul to announce he's dropped his campaign and is through making speeches as exercise in futility.
So the Trilateral Commission is putting a political fatwa out on Paul. You will see demonization campaigns. All of this suddenly heat up.
Yes, but Paul is a strong man. He will resist that.
Your answer is to cut both taxes and spending. You say that you would eliminate the IRS, the CIA, the Federal Reserve, the Department of Homeland Security, Medicare. I know that you used to want to end the FBI. I'm not sure whether you still support that idea, sir. Perhaps you can tell us. But if you get rid of the CIA, let alone the FBI, how would President Paul have any idea, any intelligence of what our enemies, foreign and domestic, are up to?
Well, you might ask a better question. Before 9/11, we were spending $40 billion a year. And the FBI was producing numerous information about people being trained on airplanes to fly them but not land them. And they totally ignored them. So it's the inefficiency of the bureaucracy that is the problem. So increasing this with the Department of Homeland Security and spending more money doesn't solve the problem. Yes, we have every right in the world to know something about intelligence gathering, but we have to have intelligent people interpreting this information. But you know, just going for increasing presidential powers, as been discussed, is rather disturbing to me. This whole idea that we're supposed to sacrifice liberty for security, we were advised against that. Don't we remember that when you sacrifice liberty for security, you lose both? That's what's happening in this country today. We have a national ID card on our doorsteps. It's being implemented right now. We have FISA courts. We have warrantless searches. We've lost habeas corpus. We've had secret prisons around the world, and we have torture going on. That's un-American, and we need to use the power of the presidency to get it back in order to take care of us and protect this country and our liberties.
Thank you, Congressman.